Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Raw Talk with Tanta Katie. I'm so happy, as always, that you guys are here. Happy that you guys are taking time out of your day to listen to me. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope that you're enjoying the start of 2025. I still can't believe that that's really where we are because, in my mind, I still think that we're in the 2000s. And it's to the point now that if somebody were to come to me and be like, "Oh yeah, I got a new car, year 2007." In my mind, I'm thinking that's a brand new car. I'd be like, "Wow, congratulations, you're doing well for yourself." But nowadays, if somebody tells you they got a car from 2007, that's an old car. And that's just wild to me. Like, I don't know why, but in my mind, I still think we're in just like the 2000s. I don't know why. It's been a little bit of a wild start for me as well. I was a few weeks ago in my apartment. My girlfriend and I we were cooking some dinner. Then all of a sudden, on my door, bang, 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 and I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? And I'm living in the city, so I'm not gonna be opening my door, if I hear a banging because that's just not what you do. So before we open it, we look outside and we see it's the firefighters just pounding at the door, like, okay, open the door up. But then we can see that they went to my neighbor's house. And let's call him Rusty. Well, Rusty and I didn't always see eye to eye. And he lived a pretty wild lifestyle. He still thought that life was in the 80s. He had a mullet, leather jacket, listened to his Metallica and Guns N' Roses and all that. And they're just pounding at his door. And I don't know what was going on in there, but it took them literally 15 minutes just to open that door. 15 minutes. I'm thinking, man, I don't know what was happening in there because you had the firefighters, you had the police, you had like security people going in there. I don't know what Rusty was up to, but yeah, it was just crazy. Finally, after 15 minutes, they got the door open. At that point, because we had the door cracked, being kind of, snoopy, trying to see what's going on. But I personally, at that point, when they did get the door open, I closed the door because I decided I don't know what happened in there. I don't know what Rusty was up to, but let's give him some privacy. So yeah, that's been the start of my new year. It's been a little bit wild. Um, and I had an interesting day the other day. I was walking home from the tram station, and I remember thinking to myself, I feel really happy. Like, I feel really happy. And I remember thinking, like, when I thought back on my life as a kid, my life right now in this moment is nowhere where I thought I would be. I expected definitely a lot more for myself. I had higher expectations. I wished that I would be maybe somewhere else with career and all that. But I thought, you know what? I'm happy though. Like, I don't I don't know what it is, but I feel happy in this moment. I feel happy, I feel grateful, I feel thankful, even though I'm not meeting society's standards about where I should be and all that. And so we're going to do a topic today. My topic of this episode, it's called When Life Gets Overwhelming, Don't Panic, Accept Your Reality. And I want everybody to know right now that I am cheering for you no matter where you are in your life. And I genuinely feel that you should be so proud of yourself. Like, honestly, I don't care if you're living in a car, living in a tent, living in a mansion, living on a yacht. No matter where you are, be happy, be proud of yourself, and really give yourself a pat on the back because you have to look at everything that you've accomplished in your life. And I guarantee you that if you were to look at your life from starting when you're 5 years old until now, you've accomplished a lot in your life, and that is something that you should genuinely be proud of. And I want you guys to really soak that in because I'm giving you guys that from the bottom of my heart. And, I want you to know that sometimes in life, you got to take 20 steps back to get 40 steps forward. So it can be that your life is not perfect right now, but it's okay. And enjoy it. Even if it's not perfect, enjoy it anyways. Like, honestly, just enjoy where you're at. I remember, so I haven't had social media in about 5 years now. I did get it just to kind of put my podcast, to give it a little bit of a platform. And I remember I saw this girl on there. It was showing her body transformation, right? So it's showing the start. And at the start, she weighs 200 pounds. And I'm thinking, okay, wow, this is going to be like a great body transformation. She's going to, lose like 50 pounds. And I'm watching the video and it's showing December and she weighs 200 pounds, right? January, she weighs 205 pounds. February, 200 pounds. March, 201 pounds, And it's like, I love that. I love that so much because even if she's not reaching the exact goal or the exact thing that she's trying to reach, she's at least trying, and it's realistic and it's something she should be proud of because you're trying. And as we all know, that muscle weighs more than fat anyway, so it could be that she started at 200, ends at 200, looks a lot leaner, but you just don't see it. But I really liked that. I was really happy about that. I really have to say that. And I feel like we live in a society where, they want us to kind of be so hard on ourselves. They want to sell us these things that are supposed to make our lives better. And to be honest, there are certain things that make our lives easier. That's just the truth of the matter. It is. There are certain things that do make our lives a little bit better. But I feel like society kind of gives us this thing of like, oh, you can only be happy once you reach your goal. Once you get your house, once you get your car, once you get your boat, once you get your baby, once you get your new bed, all that, right? No. Honestly, if you're living on a mattress on the ground, be happy. Like, you don't have to be happy, but like, you can still be happy. You can be proud. Maybe that is the top of the mountain. Maybe that is the top of the mountain, honestly. And like that, also like practicing that gratitude every day. Because I've lived in some places, and I got to tell you guys, where I was previously living before would have been considered by many like a penthouse suite apartment. It was extremely nice. I was very happy with it. And I went from that to a shoebox. A shoebox. That's all, like a shoebox apartment. But you know what's crazy? I'm happier in the shoebox. And I just think that's wild, but I think it's because I also learned for myself to appreciate what I have and to start being grateful. And I'm so grateful. And one thing I can recommend to you guys is every day, I've said this in a previous episode, but if you guys literally per day, when you first wake up, before you go on your phone, before any of that, if you literally, first thing waking up, you say 5 things you're grateful for. And don't just say it, really feel it. It can be the simplest of things, like I'm grateful for a cup of coffee. I'm grateful that I get to eat today. I'm grateful I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful I have shoes. I'm grateful I have socks. Those are things to be grateful for, guys, honestly. That's something we got to start all working on a little bit together. And really just celebrating the little things, Celebrate those wins, those little wins. Those are huge wins. Even if it seems small to you and you're thinking, oh, this isn't big, it's big. Be proud, be happy, celebrate yourself, Celebrate the little things. The little things are really the big things. And I'm going to trademark something right now because I thought about this the other day. Have a party in the trenches. That's trademarked by me right now. Have a party in the trenches. Your life does not have to be perfect to have a party. You can be living at a trailer park. Your life can, be living in the mud. It's pouring down hailing rain, But you grab your bottle of whiskey and you have a party and celebrate yourself, whether you're high, whether you're low, no matter where you are, because you're trying, you're living. And honestly, as long as you're breathing, there's life is in you always. And so here's the thing, guys. When life gets overwhelming, don't panic. I want you guys to think of your life like a canoe. So if you think of yourself in a canoe, right? You're floating down in the river, you have two oars with you. There's going to be times in your life where the canoe is going to get stuck in the rocks. And you're going to be stuck in those rocks for a little while and you're like, "Man, I didn't want to be stuck in these rocks because the water gets a little bit shallow." Okay, you're like, "Man, I gotta get stuck." And sometimes you gotta use all your energy just to get out of those rocks. And you're pushing and you're using the oar. And man, it takes every energy you have to get out of those rocks, right? Well, you can either use all the energy you have to get unstuck, or you can say, "You know what? Let me take a quick lunch break and let me regroup for a second. Let me just enjoy the trees around me, enjoy the sound of the river." And you're like, "I didn't want to be here. I don't want to be stuck here." Well, yeah, accept your reality. Right now, you're stuck on a canoe in the rocks. So try and enjoy the scenery just a little bit and enjoy it. That's not where you want to be. No, but you know what? You're on your way. You're doing your best. You can't control the canoe, the river, all that. You know, it might be you're trying to go left in the canoe and the canoe is going right. And you're like, "No, no, left, left." Well, it keeps going right. Okay. So maybe there's going to be water getting in that canoe. Maybe you're going to lose one oar along the way, one oar that you're paddling with. And you're like, "Man, I just lost my oar to the canoe." Well, maybe when you go downstream a little bit, you're going to find a huge branch. And maybe that branch is going to be an even better oar than the one you started with. So maybe you're going to find a gem there. It really could be the case. Maybe on the outside of your canoe, it's going to get banged up. It's going to change its color. I think of that like the wrinkles. Those are wrinkles. Those are the wrinkles you're going to get when you get a little bit older. There's beauty in that too, because, it's showing that you've lived. It's showing that the waters aren't always going to be smooth. Your canoe is going to be hitting some rough waters, but it's how you respond to that. It's how you respond to hitting those rough waters. But not only about the response, it's just like you can control what you can control. You can't always control everything, and that's hard. But celebrate it. You're out there, you're doing your best, you're in your canoe, drink your whiskey or don't drink your whiskey, drink your alcohol-free whiskey. And maybe your canoe is headed straight for a waterfall. Well, that's a tough one. Not sure what to say there, guys. I'm joking. But time to rebuild, I guess. And you know what? Rebuilding is also, there's a lot of power in rebuilding your life, I'll tell you. That's what J.K. Rowling, I know not everybody's a fan of her, but one of her famous quotes is, "Rock bottom became the solid foundation in which I rebuilt my life." So for anybody out there, if you really genuinely are in a rough place, I feel you. I know it's not easy. And you might even be saying, "How can I see any hope? There's no hope," or this and that. There's some hope. There's a little bit of hope. There's a little bit of hope. If you look around, you can find something, even if it's a little dog you see, or a cat, or a fish. A cup of coffee for me is hope. But don't give up on yourself and believe in yourself. You got to be, you're not always going to have people believing in you, but if you believe in yourself, that's genuinely all you need in this life. You really got to believe in yourself. And I believe in you if you're out there and if you are struggling, if you're really at a low place, whether it's emotionally, physically, mentally, financially, you've got this. You've got this. You really do. I always say, like, for me, like, my life is nowhere where I want it to be right now. Not at all. But I'm celebrating that I've made it as far as I have, and I'm like, wow, like there's still so much to be grateful for, even though I'm not, a lawyer or a doctor or a CEO of a company or this or that. I'm like, you know what? I've got a cup of coffee. I've got the sun is shining today. That always makes me happy. I saw snow about a week ago. I'm like, these are things to genuinely be grateful for, and I'm still alive and I have air in my lungs. And this is something I'm really happy about. Even though not every day is perfect, not every day I'm happy, definitely not. I have low points as well. I'm human just like everybody else. And, I like to say just steer in the direction that you want, but expect setbacks. Happiness isn't the future, it's where you are right now. Because at the end of the day, tomorrow does not exist. Only today, only this exact moment that we're living in exists. If you're thinking in like, oh, in my future, I want a yacht. I'm gonna be honest, I dream of a yacht too. I'm dreaming of it right now. I can already see the yacht in the ocean. I'm like, oh, I would love to be there. But I may never make it there. I may never have a yacht. Dreaming of it is beautiful, but what about if I just stay in this moment and I'm like, okay, I don't have a yacht, but I have a lot, and this is what I have. This is my reality. Like, this is my reality of what I have. Um, you can't always expect that your dreams are going to come true. You can't always expect that things are going to go the way that you thought they would or expected it to, and that's really hard. Um, because life is hard, but I do believe it's beautiful at the same time. And I think also one of the things I do think is highly underestimated is just like being an example to other people, or like just being an example to your kids. I think it's important to if you can even like teach your kids like life doesn't have to be perfect to have fun. You can, even if things don't go the way you planned, like let's say I'm going to come up with something random right now. Like let's say you're going to a soccer game, right? And your kids are in the van and you're like, yeah, soccer game, let's go. And you're on your way to the soccer game and the car breaks down and you're like, oh my goodness, this is not what I wanted. We're going to miss the game. You know what? Bust out those Capri Suns, bust out the oranges and the cookies, put on some music, and just start dancing with your kids and be like, you know what? It didn't happen how we wanted it to, but we've got this. Like, it's like life is what you make it, Give your kids a little, it's okay. Have a party in the trenches. Trademark. I'm not going to forget that one, guys. Have a party in the trenches. And obviously, there are many exceptions to the rule, guys. I'm aware of that. I'm not stupid. I know that there's some things that are genuinely out of our control and you can't have a party in the trenches. I know that. But I think in many cases you can have a party in the trenches. Yeah, I think it's really about just being happy with what you have. I think we all have a lot more than what we realize. And when I talk about what we have, I'm not only talking about what we have physically, I'm also talking about what you have that's inside of you that makes you a rich person. That kindness that you have inside of you, that empathy, that love for your family, for your friends, for your children, for your brothers, sisters, all that. That determination you have. You can't buy resilience. You can't buy determination. These are wonderful things. I remember sometimes we don't think we have a lot because we're always comparing ourselves to other people. And I'm guilty of that as well. I'm definitely guilty of that. I remember I had seen a video and it started out with it was like cartoon. And there was this guy in a wheelchair and he was rolling his wheelchair down the road and he was looking at this guy that was walking, and he was thinking, man, I wish I was that guy that was walking. That guy that was walking was looking at a guy who was driving a Ferrari, thinking, man, I wish I was driving that Ferrari. The guy driving the Ferrari was looking at a guy driving a helicopter, thinking, man, I wish I had that helicopter. The guy driving the helicopter was looking at a guy in a yacht, man, I wish I was that guy having that yacht. And then the end of the video was you see the guy roll, how it started with the guy in the wheelchair rolling down the street, and there had been somebody looking at him from the window who was really sick in bed, wishing he was the guy in the wheelchair. And I always like to say there's always people that are going to have it better. There's always people that are going to have it worse. Nobody's better than us. Nobody's worse than us. We are all equal, no matter how much money you have, no matter this, no matter that. We're all equal. And it is a lifelong thing to, stop with the comparison. That's a hard thing. That's definitely going to be a life thing because you can see it everywhere. But there's so much inside of you, and inside of each and every one of you guys, there is so much gold, and that's priceless. That's something nobody can buy. You are special. You are unique. You're like a snowflake. No two are alike, guys. No two are alike. And as long as you're still breathing, that's a gift right there. As long as you're still breathing, there's still work to be done. Enjoy the moment and, really try and stop and smell the roses. As corny as that sounds, it's really true. Like, just stop and smell the roses. I like to think of some of the happiest moments of my life. And when I think of them, I was never in a rush. I was always moving a lot slower. I was always kind of, enjoying the sunset, watching the ocean, just really taking things in. So, learn how to move slowly in a difficult situation, guys. Learn how to move slowly in a difficult situation. Don't panic. Don't panic. There is so much to be overwhelmed with at the moment, with the state of the world, politics, everything. There is so much to be panicked about. And I get it. I'm the first to sometimes panic. But there is something that I've learned. That is to try and learn to be a little bit more calm when things get difficult. So if you feel like you're drowning, don't panic. Stay calm. Stay calm. Keep things calm. The way to get out of a difficult situation is to be calm. To be calm, but to take the steps to get out of the difficult situation. Okay, guys? So, here, I'm going to give you guys a really good example right now. Let's say you're in quicksand. Quicksand, right? Everybody knows what quicksand is. I would guess so. Quicksand is a sand where you're literally, it's going to just whoop, take you, and you're just going to go whoop, and there's going to be a little drop, a little bubble. And look, if anybody has been in quicksand, I do apologize. I really do apologize. I've never known anybody that has, but I've just heard about it. But if you are in quicksand, right? So let's say your life is just out of control. You feel like you're sinking, like you feel like you're in quicksand. So I looked this up on the internet. This is what you got to do if you're in quicksand, aka life. Start by taking a few deep breaths to calm down, since panicking will make you sink faster. Lean back So the weight of your body is distributed over a wider area and move deliberately and slowly. Okay? Quicksand, right? So you're not moving fast, you're not getting upset, you're moving slowly and you're taking small steps to get out of a difficult situation. But do not panic. Panicking will make the situation worse. Yes, there are exceptions to this rule. I am aware of that. Use your imagination to come up with them. There are. But I'm talking about just a basic situation where you just need to take small steps to get to your goal and you feel like life is overwhelming. And I feel like sometimes the smallest steps can genuinely lead to huge things later on. If I think of even just planting a seed, if you plant a little seed, you don't expect much from it, right? It's just such a small little thing. It's a small step to even take. It doesn't take much effort to put it in the earth, water it, this and that. But if you wait 20 years, that seed is going to be a huge tree. Something small can be really positive in the future, guys. Don't you ever forget that. If you think of you're on top of a snowy mountain, right? And you start with a little snowball in your hand, the kind that you normally throw at somebody when it's a snow day. Well, if you take that little snowball and you go to the top of a hill and you just slowly roll it down the hill, think of how big that is. Something so small can lead to something so big. And kindness spreads. That's a very simple thing that can also spread. But I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the one red paperclip story. If you haven't, I do recommend you go and check that out either on YouTube or on the internet. It's this guy from Canada who had started with a red paperclip and he had traded it to the point where he ended up with a house. So little small actions, small steps can lead to something big. Just try and be calm. Don't panic. Take the small steps. But I cannot emphasize enough on staying calm. Because this is the thing, guys. If you think of yourself, if you think of life just getting crazy, let's think of life as a bee, right? If you have a bee land on you, do not get up and start swatting that bee and freaking out and screaming. You're just going to make the bee upset and it's going to sting you. I don't know from experience. But if you just sit there and you slowly let the bee realize that you're not a flower, it's going to go away and it's not going to come back anymore and you're going to be good. Might come back once more and then it goes. You just lightly kind of push it away, Don't provoke it. Sometimes in life and in nature, we have to move a little bit more calmly, not so fast, And like I said before, I'll say it again. If you think of a time in your life when you were at your happiness, were you moving fast or slow? And obviously, for many people, it might be slow. For other people, it might be fast. For me, it's been slow. But I have had really chaotic times in my life where things were moving so fast paced that I had to learn to find joy in certain moments. And one of that time is when I was a waitress, because at the place I was working at, it was so chaotic. It was, on a Saturday, you would have a line out the door. You'd be running out of food, running out of drinks. You'd have to go back and tell a table that the ribs that they ordered an hour ago are not there anymore because somehow there was no communication and, somebody forgot to tell you that they don't exist. So in this environment, especially on a Saturday, it was really hard to find joy. But I remember I had also found beauty in that chaos. Even though it was so crazy, it was so hectic. And it was such a small thing that I would do that would make me so happy. And what I would do is you know, there was a dessert that we had at the restaurant. It was a brownie, and it was a hot fudge brownie, and it had brownie, ice cream, whipped cream, and hot chocolate sauce on it. And I remember when my table would order it, I would have to be the one to make it. And there were moments where I didn't even have a second, not an extra second to do anything, because when you're waitressing, you're just trying to catch up to things, You're just, this table wants to pay, this one needs drinks, this one's upset, you need to bring that food out, you got to do this, right? I remember they'd order a brownie and I'd be like, man, but at the same time, this was such a moment of joy for me in such a hectic situation, because I loved making those brownies and I loved making it beautiful, and I would take the time to really make it extra nice for the guest, for the customer. And I remember making it, and in that moment it was a chaos around me. Everybody's running, upset, screaming, but it was like in that moment it was just a moment of joy, and I could just be still. And then bringing the brownie to the table and seeing how happy they were and the joy that it brought to them was a moment of happiness for me. And I remember my heart kind of smiled after that. But then you're back to the chaos again, And you find little joys here and there. There's always joy to be found in chaos and all kinds of things. I'm a firm, firm believer in that. I really am, guys. I want everybody to really be proud of where you are in your life. Celebrate it. Celebrate it. Even if it's not what you thought it was going to be, even if people are nagging you, saying you need to be further in your career, you need to do this, that, celebrate yourself. Be proud. Be proud of yourself. You're making progress every day, even if you're going backwards instead of going forwards. Sometimes going backward, you have to go back to go forwards, like a slingshot. I just thought of that one, like a slingshot. Sometimes the slingshot has to go back to go forward. You got to build that momentum, right? So visualize your goal, guys. That could be even maybe making a dream board. So that's where you take a magazine and you start cutting out pictures, and then you glue it to a piece of paper and you put it on your wall. That can have some amazing effects, because when you visualize that, it really is positive for your brain. And take the actions to get there, no matter how big, no matter how small. Remember, sometimes the smallest steps are the biggest ones. They really are. And don't panic. Don't panic if you're not where you need to be in life. It's okay. Don't let society and the rules that are being put on us define what happiness is for you. Happiness is different for everybody. We're not going to be happy every day. We're going to have some days where we're sad, upset, angry. That's okay. But we're all going to get there, We just got to keep practicing, and even if we don't, heck, let's have a party in the trenches, people. Be easy on yourself. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. Be aware be aware there will be some bumps along the way. Just hold on to that railing. It'll keep you safe. And realize that maybe the goal is exactly where you already are. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Realize that maybe the goal is exactly where you are right now. Maybe this is exactly your goal. So celebrate it. Be proud of it. We have today. We don't have tomorrow. I'm going to end with a story for you guys. It has a little bit to do with this. I was trying to think of a good story. I think this one fits kind of the best, but I'm not really sure. So when I was probably 12 or 13, was me, my brother, and my sister were in Australia visiting my aunt, uncle, and cousin there. And there, on this particular day, my aunt and my cousin said that they wanted all of us to go on a hike with them. And we said, okay. So my uncle was staying at home because he was finishing to write one of his books. But then the rest of us decided, we packed our car, we went up to the mountain, right? We were at the base of the mountain. It was me, my brother, my sister, my aunt, and my cousin. And we set out. We set out to climb the mountain. And the way the mountain was set up is you go around and around and around and around the mountain until you get to the top. The top. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. That's how I think of it. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. And then when you get to the top, that's the top. So we set out for the mountain, right? My brother and I, we were so excited to reach the top of that mountain. I don't know what it was, but my brother and I, we had so much energy. We were like, we're so excited to reach the top of this mountain. And we were literally just, I don't know what, we were energized. We were like, we got this. Full of energy. So it was my aunt, my sister, and my cousin, and they were kind of walking together. And my brother and I, we were just very impatient, right? So we're finding ways to get to the top of the mountain faster. First, we start running, this and that. Well, then we see, instead of going around and around and around the mountain, we can just go straight to the top. We see a little trail. Well, we realized later it wasn't exactly a trail for humans. It was what the animals were using. So wallabies, kangaroos, all that were using this trail to go straight up the mountain. It wasn't a human trail. We didn't know that at the time. So we kind of, waved goodbye to my aunt and my sister and cousin, and we said, we'll see you guys at the top of the mountain. Well, we used all the energy we had until we were probably about 30 minutes in. We reached a part of the mountain where it was pure rock. And it was basically more or less like rock climbing up the mountain. Now, it wasn't straight up rock climbing, but it was definitely at an angle that was pretty dangerous. I remember being so thirsty, and luckily my brother had brought a camel pack with him. And so I drank from the camel pack, and somehow him and I helped each other get up the side of that mountain, which was kind of like rock climbing. And we were stuck there for a while. I'm not going to lie. Like, we were genuinely stuck there for a good hour, being like, do we use the right foot? Do we use the left foot? Like, and it was, my arms were tired. My legs were tired. It's like, I don't know how we're going to get up this mountain. By the grace of the kangaroo angels, we made it up this mountain. And I remember him and I got to the top. We were so happy. We were celebrating. We were taking pictures, like, yeah, we did it. We made it to the top of the mountain. And we kept thinking, well, we wonder when everybody else is going to get up here. One thing we hadn't taken into consideration is we'd been stuck on the side of that mountain for a while. Let's just say a few hours. And we were in some, treacherous areas that were very dangerous and caused us to fall behind and getting up the mountain. So finally it hit my brother and I, well, we should probably head back down the mountain because maybe they've already been up here. And we were like, all right, so let's head back down the mountain. Well, we headed back down the mountain and we realized they were seconds away. Maybe they had even called search and rescue to come get us. Their search and rescue team in Australia to come get us on a mountain. We were stuck on the side of a mountain. And they were so upset with us. So upset. Everybody was so angry at us. How could we be so irresponsible and this and that? And I get it. They were scared. They didn't know what happened to us. I mean, being stuck on the side of a mountain in Australia, and they had to call search and rescue and this and that. So the lesson of that and the moral of that story is, sometimes in life, if you want to get somewhere, You got to move slowly to get up the mountain, even if you think you're going to be faster a different way. You got to take the steps. You cannot cut corners. Don't cut corners, you know? And even if it's not the pace you want, sometimes it's the pace you have to accept. You know, you got to accept that maybe a slow pace is the pace that it is. You want it to be faster? Well, it's not. And moving at too fast a pace is not going to be the best in the long run. Even if you think of the story of the rabbit and the hare, I'm pretty sure everybody's heard the story. I don't know if they have, but it was a story of a turtle and a bunny, and they were racing each other. And obviously, you know, you're thinking, oh, the turtle's gonna so slow, he's gonna lose. Well, what happened was they started the race. Well, the bunny was running so fast that he got tired and he decided, I'm so far ahead, I'm gonna take a little nap on this tree. Well, while he was taking a nap, the hare, the turtle, kept going, but kept going slowly, but kept going, kept going, kept going, kept going. And the turtle ended up winning the race. So just because people are going faster than you doesn't necessarily mean that, you know. And you see it a lot also in businesses. I've worked with people where they don't have much substance to them in the fact that they're not at all the best workers, but they have a really good mouthpiece on them. So they talk themselves up so much to convince everybody that they're the best, even though they're not. They're really not. They just talk so much. You know, I'm the best, and there's nothing behind it. And I always say, in what I've noticed in these situations, because I've seen it a lot, is it's kind of like a helium balloon. You know, a balloon filled with helium. It goes up so fast, but as fast as it goes up is as fast as it comes down. Slow and steady wins the race. And I'm not just telling that to you guys, I'm telling that to myself because I also need that reminder. I really do. We all do. But I just wanted to really come on here today and spread some positivity, some inspiration for everybody. No matter what you're going through, please celebrate yourself. Be proud of yourself. No matter what anybody thinks about you as far as judgy, it's not about whoever anybody's judging you. It's not about you, it's about them, and let them be them. And I'm proud of you no matter what you're doing. I'm proud of you. Well, that's not true. No, if you're causing harm, then no, but keep shooting for the stars. Don't give up on yourself. Believe in yourself. Even if nobody believes in you, I believe in you. You've got this. And yeah, guys, feel free to share this with anybody if you think they need a little bit of a pick me up, if they need some inspiration. If you guys have any topics you guys would like me to do in the future, feel free to comment down below. If you haven't already done so, I would appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to me either on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube so that you guys will never miss it when I post a new podcast. All the best, guys. Happy 2025. Let's do it.